First question. What is your name?
I'm Daniel, Caitlin, and Bigcas.
Second question. What is your profession?
Profession. I am currently an HSU teacher here in the University of Makati.
Third question. Why is communication important?
Communication is important because we are social beings. As social beings, we cannot live without even communicating or even talking, just simply talking. We cannot live like that for our whole life. So that's why communication is important.
What are the challenges that you've encountered when communicating, and how did you overcome it?
First challenge I had was language barrier. I grew up in a family where we speak in English at home, so we really don't communicate that much in Filipino. But whenever we encounter family reunions or even in school, especially in school, because we have to learn Filipino, that was one of my greatest challenges because Filipino is such a subject that is like my Waterloo. So it's really hard. And another challenge is knowing and being familiar with the different background of speakers that I am communicating with. I overcame those challenges, of course, by learning. We can always overcome challenges by learning alone.
Next question. What are the strategies or tips that you can give to improve communication?
Practice. One way to master a language is always by practice. You cannot communicate effectively or even speak the way you wanted to if you don't practice it every day. One of the lessons I learned from my mother, especially in reading and on how to improve my speaking, is to hear myself. So what I have to do is read aloud every single day.
Do you prefer to communicate using social media platform or through personal? Why?
I always prefer speaking in person. Because even before social media was a trend in the Philippines or even around the world, we all communicate personally. And I think seeing someone or hearing someone in person is better because you'll know the true meaning of whatever that person will say, through not just through the words but also through the gestures and also the expression of his or her face.
Next question. For you, how important is listening in communication?
Listening is very important because communication is not one way. Communication is always a two-way process. So you cannot give something back to the person you are communicating with if you will not listen. And for you to understand the whole context, you really have to listen to that person.
Next question. What role do facial expression, gesture, and pauses and play in communication?
These non-verbal communicative ways plays a role in communication by improving the quality of the context, not just helping you to understand better or to understand the right meaning of whatever he or she wants to say, but it is also a contributor on how you become socially connected with one another.
Next question is, what is your motto in life?
My motto in life is always be content with what you have, but never be content with what you can do in your life.
Pocholo the VoiceMaster Gonzales is already considered as a veteran in the art of voice acting for television, video, and even online.
Sabado wala.
First question, who is Pocholo, the VoiceMaster Gonzales?
Hi, I'm Pocholo, the VoiceMaster Gonzales. Yes, I'm the VoiceMaster. Why? Because I'm the one who started a voice acting school in this country. Ako lang naman ang nasa likod ng more than 2,000 na mga graduates and 300 na mga active voice talents sa buong Pilipinas. That's why I'm called the VoiceMaster, Voice Guru.
Next question, what is your profession?
I'm the VoiceMaster. That's it.
Next question, why is communication important?
Basically, it is the only way and the only thing that makes us human. Without communication, people perish.
Next question is, what are the challenges that you've encountered when communicating and how did you overcome it?
Well, basically, if you don't listen, even you have a very good message, there's no communication at all. The only way you will understand that there's communication if both messenger and the receiver understands the message itself.
Next question is, what are the strategies or tips that you can give to improve communication?
Well, it's not all about speaking, but it's all about listening. The most important part of communication is listening. But there are 4 kinds of communication: writing, speaking, listening, and reading. So the 2 are like more on how you will communicate in a verbal communication, especially speaking and listening. That's the most important, because reading has no emotion. It's up to your interpretation. That's why human voice is the most important tool that we will ever have. Without the voice, people perish. And it's the most used and misused tool that we have. Imagine the world without a voice. It will perish. And aside from that, it's the only instrument that can start a war and the only instrument that can say, I love you. So it's very important that you know how to manage and control your voice, especially when it comes to communication, and how to inspire, motivate, and empower people through your voice instead of despair and expire them.
Next question is, do you prefer to communicate using social media platform or through personal? Why?
Both, because you create an imaginary image through internet. So that's what you call social identity or online social media identity. But a lot of people, even they have this personality online, doesn't reflect when you speak to them in person. So most of them are introverts, but they can write, but they can speak. So it's different. Or even they are blogging, they cannot communicate well, even they're on stage. So it doesn't follow. Even you have so many followers, sometimes that makes a very big difference when you are edited or curated. And like if you're natural, it's so simple to speak.
Next question is, for you, how important is listening in communication?
It's like what I've said, listening is the most important part. Without listening, you cannot speak. You only say what you heard. You cannot say anything you haven't heard. Because communication started from listening, by imitating the sound that you're hearing, especially your accent, your language. Because language is an imitation of sound, so that means if you are deaf, you are mute. That's why there's no such thing as mute unless you are deaf. And you know, if you know how to maximize the sound, you can also maximize how you produce the sound. Because our voice is a production of sound. It's a disruption of air molecules. So imagine if you can control the air molecules, you can control people.
Next question is, what role do facial expressions gestures, and pauses and play in communication?
It depends. At the end of the day, people will know if you're true or not on the way, not the way you speak, but it's how you say it. And most of the people cannot express themselves even they have good message. So the most important is not just gestures or facial expression, but the emotion that comes into your message, because it follows. It's like movement orchestrate vocal expressions. Especially in voice acting, we need that because you cannot be seen. So the only thing that makes people imagine you is how you deliver the line. Okay.
Can you please give us some example of your works?
Watch my YouTube channel. It's there.
Gabi ng lagi mo akong pinapakinggan na rin.
Ay, oo, naalala ko yun.
Isang gabi ng lagi. Ganyan. Tapos si Putoy at si Lolo Tasyo ay naligaw sa kugubat.
Ha, Lolo, nako, may monster dito.
Ay, nako, sabi ko sa'yo, Apo nako, ginabit tuloy tayo.
Ay, Lolo, may monster doon.
Kakainin ko kayo.
Ah,
Nako, Apo, huwag kang mag-alala. Ako si Kapitan Kangkong. Kapitan Kangkong! Psst! Humanda ka sa akin, puno. Itong bagay sa'yo. Ja! Ja!
Ayan, patay na ang puno.
ha, galing mo, Lolo.
Hindi ako ang lolo mo. Ako si Kapitan Kangkong. Ayan.
Abi ba ito? Sample.
Ganito yung boses ng papi niya.
Pabe, bibo, pakang bibo.
Oh, anong sikreto ng bagong bibo?
Oh, di ba?
Tikman mo.
Paano? Papit ako eh.
Nga.
Tapos ako yung voice over ha.
Ah, ikaw yun.
Ang sikreto ng bagong bibo, kes.
And the most viewed and the biggest is Filipino fairy tales. We have 500 million views.
What is your muffin like?
Well, you're gonna die anyway. That's my motto. So just do everything you want, you love, and maximize your time in this world by loving people and being passionate and live a life with a purpose. Mamamatay ka rin, kaya maging mabuting tao ka na. Yun lang.
That's it. Thank you so much.
I got this feeling all